All right, hello, Metal Maniacs. It's the Meister from Brews and Tunes. Cheers. I am absolutely thrilled tonight. I am chatting with the one and only Mr. Scott Pivarnick, guitar player extraordinaire from False Prophet. How you doing, my friend?
Good, man. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. Got a nice juicy beer here, so yeah, I'm
What,
doing well.
what, what you sipping on there?
I am doing a revision they're out of Sparks, Nevada, and this is the Social Fermentation Hazy IPA.
Okay.
So
I
yeah,
have the light of the bud.
nice. There you go. Right on, right on. Cheers, my friend.
Yes, sir.
All right. I know we were talking before the interview, and I know some pretty exciting news in terms of False Prophet. And I don't want to steal your thunder, so I'll let you talk about that. But something new and exciting happening there.
Yeah. Well, it's been 30 years since the last full length, so I think it's time to throw another one out. So the
Yeah,
record's written. you know, we're just really looking for the time to record it. I'm
nice.
hoping it'll be done before the end of the year, but
Oh, cool.
schedules are a tough thing to align with, the engineer and
Yeah,
all of us. So hoping, we'll have it done end of the year and be out early next year, possibly
nice.
before that. But
Very cool. Very cool. Is there a
fingers
working
crossed.
Is there a working title? Do you guys have a working title? I don't know if you're privy, if you're allowed to say that yet, or
Not yet. We have the artwork.
oh, cool.
We have all the artwork. John Zig.
Oh, right
That name ring
on.
a bell.
Yeah, yeah.
So Zig did the artwork for us a few years ago, and actually, the EP we put out in 2019 has a piece of that artwork. I remember, I'm a huge Sepultura fan, so I remember when Arise came out. They remember the Dead Embryonic Cells
Yeah,
single.
yeah.
What they did is they took a little piece of the art and they blew it up for the single. Remember that?
Right. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that's what we did with the EP. So that the dude on the cover is part of the art for the album.
Cool. Very cool. That's a great
But
idea.
just it was supposed to, it was supposed to be out way before this, but we've had lineup changes and COVID and all that other fun stuff. So
Well, the
you know,
last couple of years have been insane, I think, for everybody, everywhere, for everything. So totally makes sense.
yes, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
that's
it's
cool.
long
That's great.
overdue. We've been playing some of the songs live, so it
Nice.
seems to go pretty good. So
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I love that. That's very cool. That's great. Yeah. Because yeah, like as you said, that EP you guys put out, and then you guys did a split like what, 2 years ago, uh
hmm
The End Divine with Cam Lee, which was excellent
hmm
as well. And you and I were talking before, and there's a couple different mixes of that. If you want to talk about that a little bit, that's pretty cool.
well, yeah. On the EP, um, we kind of threw it together really quickly because we did a tour with Obituary, and we wanted to have something to you know something new, something new to sell. So sell in Second Death. So we had the songs recorded that were supposed to be for the record, but we figured we just make an EP real quick, have some of our friends do some remixes, and throw some live stuff on there. So
Nice.
um, we, yeah, we had it. Jamie King did the recording and mixing. Then um, Terrence from Suffocation was supposed to do a remix of I think Prayers for Emptiness, but he was in the middle of moving, then he went on tour. So I called my buddy Claudius from Possessed up, and he did it in like
Cool.
a day or so because the deadline was really really tight to get CDs printed and everything. So yeah, it's later on for the Cam we split. We thought we'd try like a different remix. So Claudius hooked me up with one Urtiaga who does like Exodus and all those guys out in the Bay Area, and he did a version for that one, and he also did a version for. We have another song, Praise of Emptiness, on a compilation album called "The Book of Armageddon,"
Oh
which is
yeah.
on Thrashback Records. Yeah, and it's kind of a Ed. You know, did you meet Ed Farsley when you were in Chainsaw
Yes.
Massacre?
Yes. Yeah.
So Ed had a fanzine back in the day called Book of Armageddon, and him and the record label owner Eric um, came together, and they each picked so many bands, and Ed put out the first False Prophet. Actually, when Paul changed his name to Infernal Hierarchy, Ed put the Infernal Hierarchy album out on his record label, Rage Records.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, so I know Revocation was on it, and some other bands from back in the
nice.
day.
Oh yeah, very
Yeah.
cool. That's great.
Yeah, so that's the tie with Ed and Prophet and Eric. It's pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
Check it
that's
out.
really cool. That's exciting news. I mean that's cool. That's really cool. So tell me about how you got involved with False Prophet, because False Prophet's been around for as you like 30 plus years. You've been in the band for like what coming up on 8 now, I think, right, or close to that.
I think I joined like late 2017, mid 2017, something like that. Yeah. Everybody knows I was a huge fan of False Prophet back when and back in the day. To me, like I didn't understand like tiers and levels of bands or whatnot. I just seen False Prophet was the same as Death or Sepultura. Wasn't like a little band, big band thing. It was I was 13 and they kicked my ass, man. It was awesome. And my favorite band was Sepultura at that time. Them and Death were like 1 and 2. Doing that right there. And I remember Prophet was I saw them the first time I saw them. They played a cover of Inner Self.
Oh, nice.
And I love that fucking song, dude.
Yeah.
But their version was like way faster than what MTV was pumping out, right? So I was like, what is this? So yeah, I was a fan, and how I came about being in the band was kind of crazy. I was on eBay one day and just kind of messing around and saw some like old metal shirts. And I was like, man, I had a False Prophet shirt back in the day. And, my grandma threw it away because it said "Worship Us or Die" on the back. So I was like, what if I can find that fucking shirt? So I hopped on eBay and couldn't find it. So I hopped on Facebook and just kind of searched around and friended band members I could find. And 6 months later, Paul had put a post on Facebook about any death metal guitar players out there. So I saw it and I kind of sat on it and man, that would be awesome. But so I asked a couple friends of mine and they encouraged me. And I had never been in a band before, and that was really really scary. Like for me at least. So I hit up Paul, and he kind of, I'm not gonna say he blew me off, but he kind of blew me off. I'll have to ask him about this later, actually.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, man, we're looking around or whatever, and I hit him up like a week later. And he finally gave me some songs to learn, and I learned the songs best I could, and I'm like, hey, I'm ready, eventually he let me come to the practice hall, and yeah, man, I never left.
Nice.
Never left. And I didn't even know I was in the band until actually Paul and I went to go see Cannibal Corpse. And after the show, he introduced me to, I think, Alex, one of the guys.
Oh, wow.
And, he knows those guys from back in the day. And he's like, yeah, this is Scott, our new guitar player. And I was like, cool.
Wow, what a way to be in. That's amazing. I can't even fathom that. That's so cool. What a cool story. I mean, to say like finding out that you're in the band because you're introduced to Alex Webster of Cannibal Corpse. Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was, I mean, it's been a trip, dude.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I think we had talked before. You told me like the first show you played with False Prophet was your first live show ever, playing in front of anybody, right?
Yeah, and funny about that. Some people know this. I haven't really talked about it too much, but yeah, man. My first show was with Elder Core, Eldritch, I can't say it. And like I didn't tell the Prophet guys. Like, I never played in a band or any of that stuff because I didn't want to get hazed.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, I don't want to get fucked with. So yeah, man, like I'd say about 10 minutes before we went on stage, I went backstage and I saw, Tim, our drummer at the time, original Prophet drummer, and he was kind of like doing his little stick thing, and I was like, hey man, what do you kind of do to get ready? He's like, yeah man, just kind of go through stuff and stretch. Like, oh, okay. Is that all you do? He's like, hey man, you played a show before? I was like, nah man. He's like, ooh. He's like, hold on, you're playing a band before? And I was like, this is the first one, dude. He's like, oh shit, this is gonna be fun. So he went away. I think he went to go tell Paul, and Paul said something to me right before we went on stage, and I was like, man, don't fuck with me. I'm already nervous.
Yeah.
I'm already worried about missing a part or all the stuff that goes through your head. But yeah, man, we did it, and I was stiff as a rock, but did it, and now it's simple, but then it was terrifying.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. But at least,
Yeah,
you did it. You did it. You didn't look back. And
yeah, man, just fucking
and you're a
soldier on.
badass now. I mean, and now you're, I mean, you're a sought after musician. You're a sought after guitar maker. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, you build custom guitars and not like just as a hobby, like it's a business, and you have John from Incantation buying your guitars, Rick Ross from Death. I mean, holy shit. That's amazing.
I got it. It was funny. I just recently I made some like posters in 2018 of my roster at the time, and it was like the names on that thing, like Suffocation, Orbit Angel, Ex Horror, Death, Massacre, fucking Incantation, all these guys that were on my wall, are now my friends, and it's mind blowing, and it's crazy, and I'd never take a second of it for granted,
Cool.
Possessed, fuck, can't forget Possessed, man.
Yeah.
Some of these guys are now my best friends, Rick, Claudius, and Possessed guys, Jeff, John, all these guys are like really good friends. Hobbs, it's just I'm very lucky and very fortunate. And, just you work hard and keep your heart in it.
Yeah. Well, and
usually it works out.
Yeah, definitely, and well deserved for sure. I mean, you're an incredible musician, and you're also, I mean, that you're the custom guitars you're making are amazing, and then you also do. That was something I wanted to ask you about. Is I know you're a guitar tech for multiple.
When I can.
Yeah.
When I can.
Yeah.
Man. I think I met actually first time I met John was like they were on tour at Dying Fetus, and it was like the night before I flew out to go with Suffocation on their Farewell Frank tour. That was my first guitar tech job, and it was learned a lot. My first time on tour.
Nice.
First time on a tour bus, like riding around, it was fucking amazing, man. You get to. It was Suffo and Cattle, Christian, and Discourage.
Wow.
Had a ball. It was awesome. And, kind of. I did that before I played my first show with Prophet. Actually.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah. I think so. I think that's right. Yeah. If I can think back, but time kind of flies.
Yeah. What was that? How did that happen? what was that journey like as far as becoming a guitar? I mean, because you're a guitar tech for Suffocation, Possessed. Like, how did you?
When I can.
Yeah. How did you get involved with? How does that happen?
How did that happen? I'm trying to think back. I think it might have happened. My first time teching was it's funny was at Ozfest for Claudius.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I flew out to Ozfest. My first time being in California, right? Flew out there and did Ozfest because Possessed headlined the second stage, cool. And Suffolk was there, so I'm there. Might as well hang out. I went up there and I brought Hobbs a guitar, so it was like a two thing. I brought him a new guitar and a tech for Possessed. Nice. So yeah, if you hop on YouTube and look for some of the footage, there's a part where Claudius broke a string early in the set, and like he's like, Scott. I'm like, what? He's like, string. I'm like, the fuck you want me to do?
Yeah.
Because he didn't tell me where the strings was, or didn't
Oh.
have a backup guitar available. So he's like, in my case. I'm like, where's your case? He's like, down there. So you'll see me like run across the fucking stage during their set. I went down there and I changed that E string in like record time. Jumped
Wow.
back up, and I looked over and it was like Hobbs and the guys were laughing. I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna get fired. Yeah, but yeah, you'll see some footage of like me running across the stage with the guitar.
Nice.
It was
I gotta look
it was
for that.
hilarious.
I'm sure I've seen
Yeah.
it. I just didn't realize. I'll have to rewatch that. That's funny. That's
It was
great.
fucking hilarious.
How did you originally connect with Claudius? How did you meet him?
And I don't remember. I think it was Facebook. We were just chatting. I think we
Okay.
I sent him a request, or he sent me. Or I don't know. But however Facebook works, we were
Right.
just chatting, and it just happened.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, for all as shitty as Facebook can be sometimes, it's all the fighting and all that. It's cool when you hear and see the kind of connection, like real connections like that. I mean,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I mean that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Facebook, I mean, I wouldn't be where I'm at today. With the guitar thing, or with playing in bands or whatnot. Because I mean, how else does just a normal person go from being just Scott to Scott who builds guitars, who plays in Prophet? What I mean? It just never would have thought of that.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. That's cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
But you've got the talent though, so I think that would have happened. Yeah, maybe not the same path, but eventually something
Man, there's
like that.
Yeah, but like there's a billion talented people that never get out.
Yeah, true. Yeah, and I guess that's the with the internet, being able to connect with people and find people, and yeah, that can be pretty cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, I know as far as like tech stuff, and I mean that's the thing is you're like a jack of all trades. I mean you build guitars, you play guitar, fabulously, play guitars, play bass. Of course you toured with Incantation, filled in for Chuck, who can't tour because of his job. So you filled in on their tour with Nile, which I saw with my son, which was fucking fantastic. And yeah, I mean, you killed it. In fact, I didn't even know you were a bass player. That was great to see.
Not. I learned.
Well,
it was funny. Like, I had because John had asked me. John and I became really good friends when he moved down to North Carolina. I think I kind of touched on it, but the night before the Suffocation tour, I saw Incan and Dying Fetus on that tour, and I gave John my usual spiel about, hey, I'm Scott. I build guitars. I'm a huge fan. If I could ever help you out, let me know. Type of thing. I'd love to work with you. And did the Suffocation tour. Came back maybe 6 months later. I got like a message out of the blue from John. I was like, oh fuck, John, like, that's cool. What's this about? And he was just let me know he moved into the area and he was looking for a place to do vocals. So if I knew anybody, and I was like, yeah, I hooked him up with Jamie King, who did our record. He does, Between the Buried and Me, he's up for a Grammy. I mean, he's pretty big name in our area. So yeah, I think John went to him, and we had kind of chatted back and forth. And I mentioned the guitar thing again, and he was interested. And I can't remember if COVID had just happened or just getting ready to happen, but they had downtime. So yeah, he gave me a key to my shop, and we designed and built that guitar together. And he was there like every step of the way. Nice. So he's equally, if that guitar's messed up, it's his fault too, not just
No, I remember, because I've been friends with John for a while, and I just remember, he was posting like the progress of that guitar from day one, really, like online, on Facebook and Instagram and stuff. And it was really cool to watch that process, you guys building that guitar, and just, and the design, it's so sweet. And yeah, that was one thing I was really curious about. That, like, how did you get involved in building guitars? When did that start for you? What was the impetus for you to, like, hey, I want to build guitars?
How I started, I think it was like 2014, 15, 16, somewhere in there. I don't remember. Whenever I joined Facebook, it's like right before that. So I think 2014. I'm a huge fan of Death, and Chuck is one of my my heroes.
Yeah.
But I always wanted a guitar like his that I had seen in a magazine. It was a stealth body, and it was sanded. It was just natural wood color. I think he used it during the recording of Control the Night or something. I don't remember exactly when he had used it, but I had seen it. So I inquired about the guitar and to have one made like it, and it was, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000. And I was like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
I can do that. And I had no idea. I'm a computer guy, so woodworking, nah, I've never done it, but I was like,
Really?
fuck that, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, yeah. So a really good friend of mine, his father worked in a cabinet shop, so I'd ask him all the time, like, hey man, ask your dad like what kind of glue you use to wood for wood or whatnot. And it was just asking questions and YouTube, and I bought every book on lutherie I could, and woodwork
Wow.
joinery. Yeah, just kind of dive into it, and bought a bunch of tools before I even cut one piece of wood. So I'm like, here I am, like 20 grand in tools. I'm like, well, I never had, all the bandsaw and table saw and all the specialty, tools. I just figured I'd buy the tools and I figure it out, which is what I kind of did. But, that first time when I bought that piece of wood and went to the saw, I'm like, fuck, I've got to do this now. I'm like invested, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, and this is what came out. This was my first build and my main guitar.
And it's beautiful. Wow, that's
It's
incredible.
just it's got a ton of battle scars and chips and dents, but it's played every show, and
That's amazing. And
goes
you
with me
built
everywhere I go.
and you built that. That was, you built that, and you also built the bass you played when you played with Incantation, right?
Yeah, so I built this one. The only guitars I built for myself are this one, the very first one. I built one for John's wedding because I
Mm.
wanted to have a backup. So I built one same shape as this, but a different wood.
Oh, okay.
Actually, the same wood as that bass I built. And when I got the opportunity to play bass, on the last tour, I was like, well, I guess you got to build a bass. So I built the bass version of that guitar. So yeah,
That's cool. That's amazing. And you do all the electronics and all of that, right?
well, I mean, you buy the pickups and just put them in. But yeah, I mean, I go to the lumber yard, just buy raw wood, dimension it. You know, sometimes if I don't have time, I have a really good friend of mine do the fret work.
Oh, okay.
Um, if if I have time, I'll do it. But if not, I'll let him do it. And he's been doing it longer I've been alive. So, usually like the artist guitars, like the Suffolk and whatnot, he does all the fretwork.
Oh, okay.
Way better than I am. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
so amazing though, to think that, in 2014 you just have a wild hair up your ass like, I'm going to build guitars, and now
Yeah. That's what it
some of
was.
the most I mean, that's what's crazy is that, I mean, it's such a cool story. It's
Yeah.
epic. I mean, you decide you're going to build guitars, and now, jump ahead 8 years later, you have some of the greatest death metal musicians of all time buying your guitars. That's a great story. That's amazing. That's incredible. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a trip,
John,
man.
Incantation, Rick Ross, Suffocation. I mean, that's incredible. That's amazing. That's,
Yeah.
cheers to you, my friend. That is really cool.
Thanks,
That is
bro.
amazing.
Terry, I built Terry Butler basses. Man,
Yeah.
I had, I'm a huge fan, so, Death. But I had Terry Butler's BC Rich Wave that he used in Death at my house,
Oh,
for
wow.
six months, because I was going to build him my version of that bass. And I did it, but it just like I have the bass
Yeah.
in my living room. It was just a trip, dude.
Wow.
I grew up watching that bass, watching the
Yeah.
Ultimate Revenge 2, all the magazine pictures of Terry playing that fucking bass. Like, here it is in my hands.
Yeah, that kind of history in your living room.
Yeah, dude.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it's like,
impressive.
fuck.
I love that.
was,
I think that's cool.
yeah.
Um,
Terry's a great guy. I love Terry.
yeah, really cool dude too. That's what's yeah. So I'm curious. Let's go kind of way back in time. How did you originally get started as a like what started you as a musician? What was the catalyst from that? Did you come from a musical family? Like when did you start playing guitar? Kind of how did that all start for you?
I got my guitar like when I was 12 for Christmas, I think,
Hmm.
and had it, and I took like one lesson. And I think they're trying to show me like Twisted Sister, we're not going to take it or something, and I couldn't do the chord thing, so I was like, fuck this, put it down, and I think I didn't pick it back up till like middle school, like later on, like 13 or 14. And I met a guy who played bass, and we kind of learned together, learning Metallica songs.
Hmm.
Just him and I for a long time. We never could like find anybody to play with in the small town we were in. We never could find a drummer, which that's how it is nowadays too.
Right.
For most bands, can't find a drummer. But being little town North Carolina, only guys in the metal back then. We couldn't really find anything, which sucks.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've always played guitar, and just that's it.
Nice. Well, and then obviously, yeah, the influences of like Chuck and John and
yeah,
those guys. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I grew up, learning Death and Sepultura and all that stuff. And
Nice.
it's funny with John; he's just, he's a little older than us, so we have these conversations, and it shows our age, because like his favorite Death album isn't necessarily my favorite Death album.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, like his favorite, whatever album, like his favorite Sepultura isn't my favorite Sepultura, because
Right.
you can, by those, whatever years it is apart between us, that's when he discovered it, or that was his record. When I discovered it later on, this is my record, and
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think his record is better than mine. You know what I mean? So we'll have these conversations. Drag Paul into it, and Paul and John are like the same age, so like it'll be 2 against 1 on these conversations. It's pretty funny.
But it's cool that just all that influence, and to be a fly on the wall or to be part of that conversation would be, that would be fascinating. I think, listening to the three of you, some of my favorite musicians arguing or debating about their favorite Sepultura albums or Death albums. Like I would love to sit and watch that. That would be very entertaining, I would imagine. Did these get
next time
sometimes?
They're beating up on me? Next time they're beating up on me, in my opinion, I'll call you and you can.
Yeah, bring me in. I'll jump in. I got your back.
How is whatever better than whatever?
Yeah, nice. So another thing that I was interested. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, me growing up, I was never a big. I'm sorry, Jeff. I was never a big Seven Churches fan because the production was not what I was used to. And I was never a big Scream Bloody Gore fan. But now I love those records and hold them dearly. But for me, my favorite Death record was Spiritual Healing.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Great album.
John and Paul are Leprosy, and I get it, man. But that was when I discovered it. That was like Spiritual was like the first record I bought on my own money. Mowed grass and bought it myself. So
nice.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I will say Leprosy. I have some. I love Death too. I'm a huge Death fan as well, and and I do gravitate towards Leprosy. I think partly because of Rick Ross, but
I love Rick's one best friends. But
yeah, so I think
I didn't discover. I didn't discover that on my own. I discovered Spiritual on my own. So.
Yeah, which is cool, and that's a phenomenal album. What a killer album that is.
And there's a ton of Rick Ross riffs in there. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, very cool stuff. I was also curious about. Sorry to kind of switch gears a little bit here, but I know you do you've done some stagehand work too. I know you
Oh,
worked 70,000 tons of metal, right? You did that for a little bit.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I mean, I still do it. We're supposed to be going out in January, so
Nice. How long have you done that?
I've done it. Did it twice.
Hmm.
The 2 years before COVID, then COVID
Okay.
came, and yeah, it was
Nice.
after the Suppo tour. I met a dude who did it. Mike Dixon from band Poon Tickler, Masticator,
Oh,
Mercer.
okay. Yeah.
Mike. Yeah. So Mike hooked me up with the gig there, and it's a blast, dude. I love it. Have you been on there?
Yeah, my wife and I went on the 2019
Okay,
cruise.
I was there.
Oh, nice. Oh, very
You
cool.
see, you see, you see Suppo at 5 in the morning. I mean, I'm sorry, Incantation at 5 in the morning.
So that was the year, that was the next year. That was the
Oh, okay.
2020, I
So
think. Yeah. So I was on the, so when
okay,
we went, it was Max and it was the Cavalera brothers did
yep, yep, yep,
did Roots and
yep,
yeah, I'm trying to remember who else was so Soulfly and Sodom, which
yep.
was
That was killer. That was
yeah,
killer.
to see
Yeah.
Sodom live and Napalm Death and yeah, that was yeah, that's
Mhm.
cool. I wish I would have known you then. That would have been cool to like hang out.
Yeah, I
Because you were
worked
probably working your ass off the whole time, but
yeah, they have it structured pretty good, and the guy I usually work with, John McDonald, he's a killer dude. Um, he was Pete Sandoval's drum tech for like 20 years,
oh
so
wow.
he's a really good dude. Yeah, most of the people down live in North Dakota, in the Florida area. Prophet's played Florida probably more than North Carolina, so we're almost like a Florida band actually. Like
Yeah.
Florida, New York, we play more than anywhere else. But yeah, man, you meet all these people, and my first time going, I went by myself, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna know anybody. When I get there, I'm like, oh, I know you. I know you. It was awesome, and now it's like the boat family.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I try to encourage anybody to do it because it's fucking awesome.
Oh, it's
It's
really it's a
expensive, but
blast.
it's fucking
It's
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, my wife's not a huge metalhead, but she loved it. She was like, "This is like everybody is so nice. Like everybody is so
Yeah.
cool and like down to earth and friendly and just like inclusive." And yeah,
Mhm.
it was a blast. I was in heaven. It was great. And yeah, as far as like kind of metal experiences, like shows that I would say 70,000 tons, and then I think that I mean for me because I was just in, Carolina Chainsaw Massacre. That was one of the greatest experiences of my life. That was, I mean, to be able to see you guys play live, to see I've seen Incantation multiple times, and I'm a huge fan. But to see them play with, Reed St. Mark on
Yeah,
drums,
it was awesome. Oh my god.
like I'll never see that again. And Gene, for
Mm. British and
playing with them,
Temple.
yeah,
Yeah.
playing with them as well. And I'm like, holy shit! And yeah, Nuclear Assault and um yeah, the Nasty Savage, seeing Nasty Savage on stage. I
They
never thought
fucking
I'd see them.
crushed it.
Yeah, they
Holy
were
shit.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, that was such an incredible show. And you were working that show too. I mean, you guys obviously play, but you were actually working the show too. So
Yeah, I mean, John's a really good friend of, not just mine, but the whole band. So, talking, early on, talking about kicking ideas around, we were, anything we can do to help, we're there. Um, so we supplied backlines both nights, and we all worked. Paul and I worked stage tech. Craig did also, and Wes was doing drum teching. So we all chipped in and try to make it as smooth as possible.
and it
Because
was
yeah,
so
sometimes working
cool.
with bands, you have to be really quick. We had a
Yeah,
very tight schedule. It was like 15 minutes, I believe, between bands. So we had to get them off and the next one on, and it happened. It was amazing. It was fun.
yeah, it was cool. And as an audience member, it would just I'm sure there was it was probably insane backstage, but as an audience member, it was flawless. It just seemed
No,
like
man,
a
there really
perfect
wasn't.
show.
You've seen it all. There wasn't really,
Yeah.
excuse me, it wasn't really any backstage yelling or anything. It was
Yeah,
really cool.
everybody
Everybody got
seemed
along. It was great.
really happy and just yeah. I mean, I was beside myself. I was thrilled. It was great. In fact, I talked to Chuck Sherwood about it, and he was like, man, that was like a bucket list show. I'm like, yeah, no kidding. Like, yeah, to see Nasty
It was
Savage
awesome.
live. Whew, what a cool
I,
show.
I've seen them before in Raleigh, and they didn't get the reception they got
Hmm.
at the Chainsaw Massacre, and I was really surprised when they played there in Raleigh, and it was there wasn't because they did the same show, dude. It was amazing. I was like, holy shit, this band is fucking amazing, and like you saw how people were going nuts in
Oh yeah,
Greensboro, like the stage diving, and all the kids were there, fucking
yeah,
going crazy. That's how it should be. A
yeah,
band like that deserves that kind of respect.
yeah.
They influence death.
Right. Yeah,
You'll see
yeah.
like Rick and Chuck wearing Nasty Savage shirts in the old pictures from like they're in Mantis and whatnot. So it's these guys are royalty.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. I've talked to multiple, death metal musicians from, Tampa, and they talked about, yeah, like Dave and Ben and all those guys, like they took them
Great
under their
dudes.
wing, and yeah, I mean they raised, I mean, the reason they exist is because of Nasty Savage.
Yeah, and it sucks that they've not reached the level that I think they should be at as
Oh
far
yeah,
as it's like some of those bands are like they're so great, but like why aren't they you know this high on the list? Why
yeah,
are these other bands this high on the list? And it's sad, man. To see
yeah,
that those
yeah.
guys
They,
fucking kill.
yeah,
I was watching like
yeah. It was,
you know
they're fascinating. They're, yeah, it's mesmerizing to watch them play, and not just because of the theatrical element to it, but just the musicianship alone is
yeah.
just,
I mean,
I mean,
David Austin's
solid.
amazing.
Yeah,
You had Scott Carino from Death up there playing bass. I mean, it was like,
yeah,
fuck.
yeah. I mean, just yeah, yeah, yeah. Like you said, it's, yeah, kind of, it's almost like overwhelming emotionally to see them play. It's really cool.
It
It's
is.
definitely an experience, and I think everybody should see them someday if they can. I was, yeah, I hope to see them again someday. A little tricky for me is living on the West Coast, but hopefully someday I'll see them. Yeah, just what a killer band. Um, so Scott, this has been amazing chatting with you tonight. I do have one last question for you before I let you go. So as you
Okay.
know, my page is Brews and Tunes. I pair beer with heavy metal albums. So it's a Saturday night. Scott's hanging out at home. What beer are you drinking? What album are you spinning?
The Light of the Bud.
Nice.
And right now on my laptop is Alice Cooper Feed My Frankenstein, man. I got
Oh,
that playing.
great stuff. Love it. I'm a
Yeah.
huge Coop fan. I love the Coop. I was listening to
Yeah,
Coop
man.
last night. Yeah, great stuff. Right on.
Awesome.
Cheers.
Awesome.
Cheers. Well, thank you
So yeah.
so much for chatting with me. This has been an honor and a pleasure. And I cannot wait to hear the new False Prophet album, hopefully in the very near future. So thank you, my friend.
Fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, man.
All right. Thanks, brother. Have a good night.